I want to just talk a little bit about the small, medium Indra. I've had this for quite a bit now. Took it out to Colorado, did some southeast runs in the green, that kind of thing. So I got a good idea and good feel for it. Just some specs on the boat. I can put that on the screen as well. Width wise, for like a smaller medium, it's not too bad. It's 26.3 width, and you can see it mostly like kind of right in there. Volume, they don't give you a volume, but I would say probably mid to upper 80s if I had to guess. So in length is 8.8, so that's a pretty good length. It's a nice, you know, in between, not too long, not too short type deal. They've referred to this as a creek play. I kind of call it a sport slice, I guess, or creek slice, something like that. Anyway, it's from the new quarter slice design that everybody's kind of coming out with now. It weighs approximately 48 pounds. And then they say the max capacity on the small medium is about 190. I'd probably agree with that. Say it'd probably get kind of hard to paddle below like 130-ish if you're below that. Not saying you couldn't if you're in good shape. It is a decent amount of boat to move around, so kind of keep that in mind. But go, like I say with everything, go ahead and demo it. Now just looking at the boat overall, just some characteristics of it. Starting here at the stern. I will say the stern on the small medium's a little less width, which I do think kind of comes into play sometimes, but I'm not sure exactly what that is. Looks to be about 6 inches or so. It's got a nice bit of stern rocker here, but they made it so that actually the stern kind of goes in the water. Some of the new boats, the rockers kind of curves back up like this. This one kind of stays in the water so the boat can track and move a little faster in the water. Drain plug's in a good place here. Grab handles are adequate. I really like the logo. I'm all about looks of a boat. It looks really good. The logo is cool. The small medium here. Moving up here, decent amount of volume right here. That's where it kind of, if you start to get back in there, it kind of reaches this point of the boat and then starts to come back down on you. So it's really hard to really go all the way vertical in this boat, which is good. Usually it kind of catches and pops you out like fast that way. And then down here behind the hips is a lot of volume. You can see this is about, I don't know, 3 to 4 inches here, right behind the hips here. You can still like kind of slice this stern around, kind of sweeping it, I guess you could say is a good word for it. The outfitting, you know, it's the same old Dagger outfitting, except it's got the new engaged thigh braces, which these are really nice. I love these, especially for a guy like me who doesn't have any thighs or big hips or anything like that. You would just see, I put these all the way aggressive and really feel a lot more connected with the boat. And they have this padding that comes all the way out here for your knees and protect it. Really can't go wrong with Dagger outfitting. Not a lot to say there other than it's awesome. Very strong step out pillar here, which is great for safety of a creek boat. Probably one of the safest manufacturers as far as creeking is concerned. If you get pinned, get out, press your foot on that if you need to get out in emergency. So that's awesome. The only thing I'll knock Dagger for, of course, their bolts tend to come loose over time, so make sure you definitely keep an eye on those, tighten those every now and then. They do tend to come loose, but other than that, Dagger outfitting is just one of the best in the game for sure. Just looking up here, you can kind of see the bow. It wants to shed water to one way or the other. They put this nice line here, as you can see, and then it's kind of pointed. It's not really like a round bow. Comes into play with their secondary stability. This thing has a ton of bow rocker. I'll turn it over here in a second. And it will pretty much blast over everything if you're straight. Really hard to stop a Indra. It's looking design overall, really looks good. This green looks great. Green is really growing on me. Looking at the side rail, pretty, you know, decent. It's not like super sharp or super soft or anything like that. It's kind of in the middle, if I had to say. And then it comes down here to a decently sharp edge. I will say that for a Dagger boat, this has pretty sharp edges, especially if you're used to paddling a code. And this kind of fits in with the 3 boats. It doesn't really take over any of those. But yeah, this is a lot more aggressive than a code if you look at that edge. Very sharp and engaging. Just flipping it over here, they have these 2 unique little lines here, or cutouts. And that's really to, when you come off drops, to really propel that boat forward. The water kind of gets in that little stream, propels the boat forward. Cool little Indra logo molded in with the boat there. And as you can see here, you can see the, again, aggressive edges. It's a mostly planing surface, pretty flat, until you get up here to the bow, and then these edges disappear. And right about here is this is like full displacement, kind of up here in the last 2 feet or so of this bow here, you can see the full displacement. And that's mostly for like shedding off, deflecting those waves, and also going over rocks if you need to boost. A couple quick comments about how I outfit this boat. I have 2 hip shims here in each hip thing. And these are real easy to take out, just unbuckle. And again, I'm about 150 and I'm pretty small around the waist, so I gotta kind of stack this area up. I do have the seat pad under here. I pretty much do that in all my boats. I like being up more. I can control the boat a little easier. I have these back a little bit and the seat back, and I like to put these all the way aggressive. I would say the biggest pro about this boat is the secondary stability. It doesn't really, it has primary, but in a sense, but the secondary stability when you're getting like cross current, it really like deflects to wave, and it's very hard to flip this thing over like going downstream. It just has really good, some of the best secondary stability I've ever seen in a boat. When you're paddling that big volume, big wavy type water, it just keeps going, it goes with the flow. The bow rocker is also a big pro of this boat. I would say it's a con. I'll talk about that in a second, but the pro is it pretty much skip over everything if you're straight and take a big boof stroke. Lean on edge a little bit, take a nice boof stroke, and then come back on edge and flatten it out when you get off the hole, and this thing will just kind of shoot right out the hole. It's great. Another pro obviously is outfitting. Just phenomenal. It's safe, it's secure, it works, it's very comfortable. You can set it to the individual, so that's just a pro with any Dagger boat, but also with this one. I will say another pro is it's pretty light for like a very capable creek boat. It's nice to have a boat that's easy to carry. All right, another pro is it's pretty nimble for a bigger boat. Again, you can kind of get on this stern and move it around. If you were to go from a medium code to this, I would say this definitely feel a lot sportier in the sense that you can move around a lot easier turning. That's kind of the purpose of this quarter slice design per se, to give you a little more maneuverability, but the same kind of punching power that you have in a creek boat. So a couple cons here. I'm always honest with boats. Say one con is it's not the easiest to roll. It's pretty wide in this kind of area here where you're really setting up your hips to roll. You know, I can roll it fine, but if you're kind of fatigued, it does get a little harder to roll. Another con that I really had some trouble with in Colorado is don't have the seat back. You want the seat back when you're in this boat to really track it, especially if you're lighter weight. The problem with being a lighter is this bow comes up even more, and that displacement on the bow really kind of, you can get pushed around if you're not driving the boat aggressively. So put the seat back so you're on this rail and you can track a little better here. What happens if you kind of lazily paddle, you're trying to do a sharp turn and you're not tracked, this bow will kind of catch it and it tends to spin out on you, especially if you're not engaging and kind of transitioning when you come off boofs like that. This boat really loves to, if you're coming off big drops, to angle it, and when you come back down, angle it the other way. If you kind of land flat, it tends to want to get squirrely and maybe spin out on you. So it's just something to keep in mind. That really doesn't come into play unless you're on like some 5+. Anything around here, Nantahala, you're not gonna even notice that type of thing. But it's just something to keep in mind if you're planning on paddling the really stout rivers. The only other really con, I'd say you want to be and more of an intermediate paddler for this boat, just for the reasons I just said. It's not something you can kind of just float down in. Yeah, sure, down here you can float and have no problem, but if you're kind of paddling that class 4-ish, class 4+ to 5, you really need to be very advanced in your kind of how you lean and your technique as far as turning and that kind of thing. I wouldn't put this as a beginner boat necessarily. Sure, a beginner could get in and kind of, again, float down the river, no problem, but I'm just saying to utilize everything this boat is made for, I would say it's more of an intermediate to advanced paddler boat. Last thing I want to talk about is should you buy this or why you should buy this boat. Again, there's a lot of boats out now and a lot of them do a lot of stuff good. If you're a Dagger fan, this kind of fits in between your quiver. So if you have a Rewind, you have a Nova, you have a Code, you know, and you love Dagger, go ahead and get this boat. I mean, you're gonna like this boat. It has all the Dagger things you like about it. It kind of fits in between. Again, it's not replacing a Code or Rewind. It's in between that. If you're on a creek and you want a little bit more maneuverability in a Code, you could take this boat, but you don't want to be so spicy like a Rewind. You could take this boat. Maybe you want just a slightly lighter boat than the Code, but still be very capable on the river. You would take this boat. If you're doing a really big voluminous water with a lot of big wave holes, definitely would rather have this than a Code. And this is not the best like creeker. It doesn't tend to love rocks. It can go down, but it's not like a Code going down a creek per se. Let's see, I think retails now is $16.49. What I recommend if you're an intermediate paddler and you want to be able to kind of have some more maneuverability on the river and don't want to be stuck in a full creek boat, these quarter slices are the way to go. Class 5, 5+, you can easily paddle this boat on. So keep that in mind if you're looking for that. But it's a great all-around boat for a lot of things, but especially for that big water, big flowy water with a lot of big wave holes. Check one out at your local dealers. I'm here at NOC, the guy for sale here. Ask for Wren. He's the sales guy here, does all the boat stuff. And if you're up north, check out Don at High Water Hobbies in the Upper Yock area. If you got any questions, let me know.